When we're looking at a running shoe, there's a lot of questions that come up. Clients often ask what kind of shoe is best, what's gonna be good for me. And really, when we look at running shoes, there's a huge spectrum of options. And there's different things that everybody's gonna count as important or not. But really, in this way that we are now, we do a lot of online shopping. And so what we're gonna go over today is 4 main things to look at when you're shopping for running shoes that usually come up when you're looking at the specs of a running shoe. The first thing we're going to look at is the heel drop. So what that is referring to is the amount of drop between the front of the shoe and the back. And so when we see that there's a higher drop, it puts your foot a little bit more forward, as opposed to if it's more flat, your feet are flatter on the ground and you're not shifted forward. That comes into play when you think about your running pattern. If you're more of a forefoot striker and you push off on the front of your toe, you're going to want a flatter heel drop. As opposed to somebody who strikes with their heel first and needs more cushion, you're gonna want a higher heel drop. The other thing that we look at is your midsole material, and that's like the energy system of the shoe. So you're gonna see terms of like an Ava or these other type of like plastics and things like that. But really what it comes down to, it's a matter of how firm it is or how soft it is and how your foot uses that to rebound and move to the next and get to the next movement. So people that like the thinner shoes, you don't get as much, it's more flexible, you don't get as much of that rebound. And then things that are a little bit stiffer, it really propels your foot forward a lot quicker. Weight is another thing that they'll kind of advertise for shoes, and really that's just referring to how thin or how thick is the shoe. If it's a minimalist shoe, there's not a lot of support, there's not a lot of sole, they're gonna be really lightweight, versus if they have a lot of cushion, naturally it's gonna be a heavier shoe. And then finally, we look at support. Typically, it's gonna be a neutral support. It's looking at the support of the heel and the arch itself. And so it's not gonna have too much structure. If you do have a high support shoe, it's gonna help with what we call overpronating. And that's where your arches come down. And you want a little bit more support there so your feet don't go flat. Typically, from our perspective, what we like to see is to give your shoe or your foot as much natural movement as possible, so not having too much structure in there. But some people that do need more support would benefit from a higher structured shoe. And all those things together are things just to kind of look for and consider as you're trying to buy tennis shoes. And then, of course, you can go to a running shoe store and they'll even dive deeper into those aspects and pick specifically what you need.
Good job.